What's going on, Coyote Pack? As you can see, it's a pretty beautiful day here in Ohio, and it also happens to be time for the question of the week. Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so last week I talked about the animal that I was most excited to get in front of the camera, and that was the American badger, which led to a lot of people asking what animal has made you the most nervous to approach. So I got a great question this past week from Total MC Addict, and he asks, Coyote, which animal has made you the most nervous to approach in the first season of Breaking Trail? That is a great question. Now, I get nervous around centipedes, I get nervous around scorpions. Working with a 750-pound grizzly bear, that also got my heart racing. But I think the animal that made me the most nervous was approaching and then capturing the American alligator. Now, when we were filming this episode, we were working on a private preserve in the Florida Everglades. And as we were cruising around on the airboat all day looking for the right alligator to capture, it wasn't until close to sunset that we finally found one that was in shallow water. And right by that bush, I can see him from this height. It looks like a pretty good sized alligator. And the crew and I analyzed the situation and said, okay, it's a big one, about 300 pounds, 10 feet long, but I felt confident that I could at least maneuver around it and get myself into a position where I could make a capture, get the situation under control, and then let the camera crew get in close so I could present the scene. Now, as I approached the alligator, I was nervous because it definitely showed me some of its defensive postures, opened up its mouth, swung its body around, tried to whip me with its tail. That truly gets your heart racing. I think I even said it in the episode that my heart was beating like crazy. My heart is racing right now. It was probably one of the most dangerous captures I've ever made. I mean, this is a large reptile, guys. This is not something you ever want to go out and try to capture yourself. And I was afraid that if I was bitten, I could lose a hand or an arm. So that was the moment where I could have absolutely no hesitation. It's the moment you hesitate that you make a mistake. Basically, I said to Chance and Mark, all right, guys, I'm going for it. Jumped on the alligator, got it under control, and then we had ourselves one awesome episode. Now that is the American alligator. And this is one of the reptiles that I want to show you out here in the Everglades because these guys are top dog. Now, there was one incredibly nerve-wracking moment where after I showed you guys what it was like for the nictitating membrane to peel back over the alligator's eye, it began to lift its head up. And I kind of looked at Chance and Mark, and this alligator lifted its entire body up. I let go of its head, and it shook back and forth. My heart jumped out of my chest at that point. I just held on for dear life. It felt like I was on a bucking bronco. Fortunately, the alligator didn't shake me off, didn't get me in its jaws, and everything worked out. But it was a pretty nerve-wracking moment, that's for sure. Thanks for all the great questions this past week, Coyote Pack. I've got a little challenge for you, though. I want everyone to go back and watch the Pine Marten episode. This was one of my favorite encounters from Breaking Trail Season 1. Ask me a question about that video, and I think there's a pretty good chance your question might get selected for a future Behind the Adventure. I'm Coyote Peterson. Be brave, stay wild. We'll see you next week. Ever since I was a kid, I've been an absolute cat at climbing trees. Today's gonna be a little different though, because I'm going up there with the American pine marten. This is a member of the weasel family, so they're pretty wily, related to the wolverine, the badger, and the skunk. And I see her, she's right up here. I'm gonna go up there, try to get her down, so I can show you guys some of her coolest features.